Welcome you all. Today let us see how the thyristor works as a latching switch. So to see how the thyristor works as a latching switch, first we will see the structure of the thyristor, which we have already seen in our previous video. You can observe here you have three terminals: anode, cathode and gate. You have four layers PN, PN and three junctions J1, J2 and J3. So now this four layers, we can treat it as two transistors. So how you treat it as two transistors? One transistor is PNP, the other transistor is NPN. So now we will split this four layers into two transistors. Okay, four layers thyristors or SCR, we will consider it as two transistors. Okay, we will split into two transistors. One transistor is NPN and the other one is PNP. Okay. So now our four layer three terminal thyristor is split into two transistors PNP and NPN. So PNP, this is this, NPN is the other one. So P and N layer is junction J1, that is written, okay, and N and P, that junction is J2, that is also written here. P and N, the junction is J3, so that is also written over here. So we will consider it as two transistor. First transistor is a PNP transistor labeled as Q1. Second transistor is NPN transistor, which is labeled as Q2. Okay, we have the anode terminal, we have gate terminal, we have cathode terminal. So you can see the gate current, which is denoted as IG, cathode current, which is denoted as IK, and the anode current, instead of writing IA, it is written as IT. Nothing but IT is the thyristor current. Okay, you can even write it as IA. So we will write it as a thyristor current, which is IT. Clear? So this splitting up of four layer of thyristors into two transistor, you call it as two transistor model of SCR. Okay, two transistor model of SCR. So using this two transistor model of the SCR, we are going to learn how our SCR behaves as a latching switch. So this further, this PNP and NPN which we have seen, we will represent it in the symbol. So PNP transistor is represented here. This is a PNP transistor, which is the transistor Q1. So you label here it as Q1. Okay. Next we have the transistor which is NPN. So we have the second transistor Q2, which is NPN. So the current gain of first transistor denoted as alpha 1. The current gain of second transistor denoted as alpha 2. That is our next step. Next, if you look here, this is IA or nothing but IT, that you write it. Okay, IA nothing but IT, you write it here. Next, our N, this is emitter, base, collector. This is our emitter, base, collector. Okay, so we have emitter, we have base, we have collector, that is written. Next, you see this is again emitter, this is base, this is collector. So base of the first transistor is connected to the collector of the second transistor, that we have done here. Base of the first transistor connected to the collector of the second transistor. Similarly, collector of the first transistor is connected to the base of the second transistor. So collector is nothing but the base of the second transistor, and this is our emitter terminal. So we can observe here IA is equal to IT is written, and this is nothing but the base of the first transistor. So it is IB1, which is nothing but connected to collector of the second, so it is IC2. So IB1 is equal to IC2. Similarly, here we have the gate current which is coming, and we have the collector current which is IC1. So what is IB2? IB2 is obviously IG plus IC1. So these are the notations which are given. So from this we have to see how our SCR works as a latching device. So for this we have studied in the fundamental of our electronics what is the expression for the collector current in terms of leakage current. So that we will write it first. So we know that the collector current IC can be expressed as alpha into IE plus ICBO. IC is equal to alpha IE plus ICBO, where alpha is the current gain. This is the general expression. IE is the emitter current and ICBO is nothing but leakage current of the collector base junction. So what is this alpha? Alpha is nothing but the current gain, which is IC by IE, is it not? So now we will apply this formula separately to transistor Q1 and transistor Q2. So for transistor Q1, if you observe our emitter current, what is emitter current? This is the emitter terminal, right? This is our emitter terminal. So what is that current? Anode current, IE. So for our first transistor, I will write it here. IC1 is equal to, first transistor current gain is alpha 1. What is the emitter current of the first transistor? That is IA. So alpha 1 into IA plus ICBO1. Okay, fine. Now for our second transistor, how can we write it? IC2 is equal to alpha 2 into, which is our emitter terminal here. This is emitter terminal. So its current is IK. So alpha 2 into IK plus ICBO2. So we will rewrite this again so that we can derive the expression. IC1 is equal to alpha 1 into IA plus ICBO1, and IC2 is equal to alpha 2 into IK plus ICBO2. Now if you have noted down this circuit, we can observe clearly that our total anode current, that is IA or IT, IA or nothing but IT, is equal to IB1 plus IC1. So I will rewrite IA is nothing but IB1 plus IC1. So if you observe there, our base of the first transistor is nothing but connected to the collector of the second transistor. So this we can rewrite it as IC2 plus IC1. So what is IC2? Alpha 2 into IK plus ICBO2. IC1 is alpha 1 into IA plus ICBO1. So we will write that here. We will substitute. So these two we will substitute in this one. So what we get is IA equal to alpha 2 into IK plus ICBO2 plus alpha 1 into IA plus ICBO1. Now IK is nothing but the emitter current of the second transistor. So that we can rewrite it as IK. If you observe, it is nothing but equal to IA plus IG. Okay. So we will rewrite IA is equal to IC2 plus IC1, which was alpha 2 into IK plus ICBO2 plus alpha 1 into IA plus ICBO1. This we have already written. I am rewriting this. So now what I will do is, in the place of Ik, I will substitute this one, Ia plus Ig. So what it becomes, alpha 2 into Ia plus Ig plus ICBO2 plus alpha 1 into Ia plus ICBO1. So whichever terms containing Ia, I will take it to the other side. So this becomes Ia into 1 minus alpha 1 plus alpha 2, okay, is equal to alpha 2 into Ig plus ICBO1 plus ICBO2. So I can write Ia is equal to alpha 2 into Ig plus ICBO1 plus ICBO2 divided by 1 minus alpha 1 plus alpha 2. So this is our expression which we need to have. Now we have observed that the anode current or the total thyristor current is dependent on the leakage current, it is depending on the gate current, as well as it is depending on the current gains of the individual transistors. So what is going to happen? So whenever the current is going to vary, so what will happen is, if we don't have the gate signal, if gates, first we will see what will happen if gate signal is 0, first case, and the second case is if gate signal is not equal to 0. So first we have to apply the gate signal, that means this case which is not equal to 0. When the gate signal is applied, obviously we have seen that Ik which is equal to Ia plus Ig. So if gate current is increasing, obviously the emitter current will increase of the second transistor. So if emitter current increases, what will happen? The current gain is going to increase. So if the current gain increases, the emitter current, the anode current is also going to vary. So this keeps on increasing until the anode current will increase, and even after that, if your gate signal is equal to 0, the thyristor will conduct. That means if the gate current and the anode current and the emitter current keeps on varying, and finally if your alpha 1 and alpha 2 it becomes equal to 1, then what is Ia? Ia is very large, okay, infinity, because 1 minus 1 is 0. If it is 0, Ia is very high. So what will happen is, the thyristor will turn on even if there is no gate current after that. So initially you need gate current. So after that, even once the current gain has been developed, it has been increased, even if you remove the gate signal, the thyristor will conduct on its own. That is why it is called as a latching device. Latching means you need not have the gate signal. It will, you need not have any external signal so that it needs to conduct. It can conduct on its own. So, but initially you require the gate signal. You have to remember it. Okay. So nothing but during the turn on process of a thyristor, what you have is a positive feedback or a regenerative action is being taken up. That is why a thyristor can turn on with a small gate current and it can latch into the conduction. It can, wherein it can carry a very large value of the anode current. So we have seen how the thyristor works as a latching device. So overall, if you see, initially we need just to make anode to cathode forward biased, and you apply a sufficient small gate current so that it will conduct, and you have to maintain anode to cathode voltage sufficiently high so that even if you remove the gate signal, the thyristor will latch. Clear? So the next session we will see the VI characteristics of the thyristors. Thank you.